Camera's been focusing and unfocusing a lot lately, and I'm wondering if that's trying to tell me that maybe I should do what other MMO YouTubers do and hide my face and just go to voiceovers. Is it telling me that my face is scaring you all away? Shit. We'll see. What happens when an MMO gives the keys to the world, the keys to the creation of the world, from the very beginning to you, the player? Well, Ashes of Creation, they believe it'll work. Ashes of Creation is a crowdfunded MMO in development by Intrepid Studios. I covered this MMO on this channel briefly before in a video, I'll link below. But for this video, I want to get into one of the defining features of the upcoming MMO. Nodes. Well, what are nodes? Well, before we get into that, here's my little disclaimer that this game is in early development. So much of this could change. All of this could change. The game is not out yet. I am also in no way affiliated with the game. I am just a YouTuber here that talks about MMOs. Welcome. Nodes are both the part of Ashes that intrigued me and worried me the most. Nodes, per the Ashes of Creation website, are preset points in the world, wrapped in a zone of influence and surrounded by geographic areas that change over time based upon player participation. Essentially, nodes are the world. They are where the game takes place. They are where everything from civilization to raids will exist. The immediate fear this caused for me as someone who has delved deep into MMO lore and can play out the geography of Neriak in my head would probably, instead of some really important stuff like how to do taxes, well, it's a little bit of an uneasy feeling thinking that won't be there. The established lore and world will not be there. The landmarks specifically. It makes me worry that there might be more of an ephemeral feeling in the game. It may lack that permanence. I mean, you're talking about landmarks in other games that are within the game thousands of years old. But essentially when we are embarking in Ashes of Creation, we will be creating the landmarks as we go. And the landmarks will be different from server to server. We'll get into that in a moment. Now on the flip side of this, your imprint on the world is that much more impressive. This adds a bit of a sandbox feel to the game, but in a way that I haven't really seen before outside of the likes of Shadowbane. But even Shadowbane had a few static cities throughout the world alongside player cities. It's not just a bunch of players being thrown against the wall to create content by spamming quests as they crush energy drinks and call in to work sick. There is some foundation. In Ashes of Creation, there will be 103 node locations, and each will have an impact on the narrative and development of the world. Each of these nodes will be the same across servers. Node 103 on server A is the same basis as node 103 on server B. It's what players do with the nodes that will be different. Each node's content, that is quests, the dungeons, NPCs, resources, events, raids, and the narratives are determined by the node itself. Players can choose which nodes they want to elevate through their actions. The story is written, but it's more like a choose your own adventure. But a choose your own adventure where you and a couple thousand other readers are all trying to turn the page, hopefully in the same direction. How do nodes function? Nodes are broken up into stages and types, and they're influenced by the primary contributing culture in that node. All of these combined equal what you see and what's available to you. Every node has 7 stages. Level 0 is wilderness, level 1 is expedition, level 2 camp, level 3 village, level 4 town, level 5 city, and level 6 metropolis. Each node also has a type attached to it, one of 4. These are static across all servers and they cannot be changed. This gives the world some permanence, some very needed permanence if you ask me. Military, divine, economic, and scientific. These are all further adjusted by the most influential player race in the node's development out of the 9 playable races. The Kalar, the Veilun, the Dunir, the Nukua, the Renkai, the Vek, the Empyrean, the Pirai, and the Tolnar. I have probably butchered every single one of those race names, so you are more than welcome to put down in the comments how wrong I am so that I will forget it and not answer it, not do it correctly in the next video, but at least the engagement would be there. No, I really will try and get it right, but please comment. Please. It helps a lot. Also, you could like the video. if this is helpful to you. These three parts together will dramatically influence what you experience in that node. A level 3 village that's of military type with Renkai influence is going to have different quests, focuses, narrative, and available content than a level 2 scientific Empyrean camp or a level 6 economic metropolis with Kalar influence. Level 6 metropolis divine node may have a mega catacomb dungeon which connects to other divine vassal nodes. More on that in a moment. While a metropolis economic node would have linked economies and auction houses. But how are these leveled up? Who chooses what nodes will grow and which ones won't? Well, the players do. Nodes are not player created, but instead player influenced. This helped reassure me a little bit that there is at least some foundation beneath the surface of the player-driven world. Each of the 103 node locations will have its own narrative. This is where some of the excitement comes in for me because nodes aren't just small villages. They can grow into a massive metropolis as seen in this Kalar concept art. Kalar is one of the races of Ashes of Creation, and so that has influenced the architecture of this particular node. This is exciting because the players would have decided on this particular node through their actions, their influence. They would have made this node the metropolis that it is, and it is a Kalar node because of who made that happen, who put in the work.
Hello, friend.
How do players make a node go from this to this? Just about everything they do. Wherever a player is in the world, the quests they do, the gathering, and the raiding will influence the node where they are. It sounds like being active in an area will continue to contribute to a node, and if the nodes are beneficial, I can see how this would accelerate once a node reaches a certain tipping point. It feels like these nodes will just grow naturally and quickly. But what's to stop every node from eventually reaching Metropolis? In Ashes of Creation, each node will have what they're calling zones of influence. This was covered in depth on the live stream from September 2021.
You can show the initial territories on the Varen map of what these particular nodes have governance over, or their zones of influence, as we like to call them, right? And as nodes, as the simulation of this begins to advance and nodes begin to expand their territory and they begin to take over nearby nodes as a result of their growth, you start to see these power level, these ratings that are applied here on specific nodes, and that determines what type of takeover power it has and what it pushes back against for other nodes that are looking to take over new territory.
Essentially, there are a variety of events that allow the nodes to take over nearby nodes as vassals. Some of these are PvP events like sieges, but PvE was also mentioned as having a role, with Stephen Sharif pointing to an instance where players don't respond to a horde of zombies that come out and attack the stables and service buildings, thus weakening the node. The node system sounds a lot like what you might see in a survival game, just on an exponentially larger level with so many more players involved and more automation. You aren't actually putting together the node's buildings one by one, but you can influence them if you are part of the controlling group for the node. Survival games have always felt like shrunken down MMOs, so I suppose it's natural to see these kinds of mechanics be upscaled like this. And if survival and MMO makes you want to scream because of the mess that happened with New World's transition from survival game to MMO, I don't blame you. I think the difference here, especially with the node system, is how integral it is to the game and how it's been thought of from the beginning in terms of an MMO, not a survival PvP game. That was my quick explanation of the node system as far as I know it in Ashes of Creation. There are a lot of other great creators for this specific game that are focused on it that know a lot more than I do, but I wanted to give a general overview just so you can be aware of what this game has to offer. If you want to learn more about Ashes of Creation, I've included links down below so that you can go and look out the website itself, the wiki, and included a couple other creators as well. And if you're interested in the game, you can pledge to it or you can just follow its development like I am. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Redbeard Flynn. I really appreciate you coming by. And if you want to see my more general overview of Ashes of Creation, I've got this video over here. Thank you so much, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I'll see you again next week.